what we get. First ever stream, so you guys are going to have to bear with me. I need to figure out if it's even working or not. Alright. Should be up now. Cool. Let's double check everything. Alright, amazing. We should be good to go. Let me know if there's any issues in chat. Alright, let's start posting this on socials real quick. How are we all doing? How are we all doing? Let me know if there's any problems, guys. In terms of quality, sound, anything. Check if everything's working. You guys can hear the background music as well, right? Do I need to turn it? Do I need to turn it up a bit? How are we all doing? Alright, should work now. Let me know if the background music is too loud, or if anything is too loud, if any of the audio is too loud. But, hopefully we're good. Hopefully we are good. How are we all doing today? Just bear with me whilst I upload everything up. And then we'll break down what we are currently seeing with current price action. Good morning, Kral. Kralhi? Not sure if I pronounced that right. Amazing. If all is good, then I am good. Let me know if the quality gets blurry as well. I try my best to keep the bitrate rate as high as possible, but I think YouTube caps it. Bear with me whilst I start posting this on my socials. And then we'll break down some trades and see what we get. Alright, should be posting this soon. Give me 1 second. Let me know if you guys have any questions, you know. I'm willing to break down anything. Any issues you guys may have, any problems, any concepts you want me to go over. Just let me know. Just let me know. Damn, Instagram's so hard to post. Let's do this. Then stick a link. Alright, should be posted now. Cool. So, let's break down what we currently have. Right, pre-market, 10 minutes until the session. Let's see. Open up the volume profile. No, this is my. Wait. Estimated volume. Yeah, me. Alright, it's in the post. So this is what we currently have, right? This is how yesterday's regular trading hours session closed. Value area is still within Tuesday's value area. Right, it's still within Tuesday's value area. I'm still leaning bullish, but until we break out of the range, there's a good chance we just play within within this current day's value area. In terms of extending trading hours, right, it does look like it's starting to cancel this and then clone. Actually, no, we don't need to clone this. Let me just get this one, drag it here, and then UTC. Apply. Right, in terms of when you're looking at it from an extended trading hour standpoint, we are starting to approach the highs of this level again. Right, if you look at where we are currently playing at, 29900s, that's going to be a significant level. It's a rounded number. If we could find acceptance, there's a good chance we come into this low volume node. Alright, if you can't see it, this is the current level that we're at, right, where my axis is. So I'm still leaning pretty bullish in terms of the long-term sentiment, but you know, this is the area we're pretty much still playing within. So any trade out will be shorts of the range high, longs off of the range low. Anything in between is going to be lower probability. However, that doesn't stop you from taking any immediate trades, right? And then the most ideal scenario would be breaking above here, finding acceptance, and then continuing higher. This is the volume profile. So yeah, it's the volume profile. I don't really look at TPO as much. I only look at it in terms of to look for divergences. So if I mean, only to look at it from a divergent standpoint. So if I show you, for example, just make it like this, and then go to here. Right, going back to my volume profile. So the bottom is my volume profile. The top is my TPO. Right, the main thing I'm looking for is whether TPO diverges with volume, right? If the market doesn't spend enough time, or the market doesn't spend the same amount of time where it is facilitating the most volume, then there is some sort of a divergence there. So what I mean by that is, actually, let's get a better example right here. The red line is my TPO time point of control, and obviously the blue line on my volume profile is my volume point of control. If time point of control, the easiest way to look at it is if time point of control is higher than the volume point of control, then that is a bearish divergence to the downside. If volume point of control is higher than time point of control, then that is a divergence to the upside. So for example here, this is volume point of control, this is time point of control. If the most volume was facilitated at a higher price, whilst the market spent most time at a lower price, then that is a divergence to the upside. That's the only time I would look at TPO mostly. Of course, I do take into account buying tails and selling tails, right? And also single print. But, you know, the main thing I'm looking for is are those divergences. I don't tend to focus too much on TPO. Since it can be a bit subjective, and volume is what actually moves the market. Right. So this is the main thing I want to look at. Move that here. And then now let's start marking out our key levels for today. This is posted. Yep. Let me check if the stream settings are correct. First time streaming, guys, so bear with me if we get any issues. Right, nice. So marking out our key levels. I always want to mark out any naked value area highs or value area lows from the previous sessions, and especially the prior sessions value area. Those are the key levels I would be looking for. Two 9857. 57, yesterday's value area low, and 29922. That is going to be yesterday's value area high. By the way, this is regular trading hours, so these are the levels for regular trading. And then we also have volume point of control at 29907 around here. Right, key levels to look out for. And then I guess you could use 29960 as well. That is going to be the somewhat naked value area high. Or not really a naked value area high anymore. It's the range high. Right, but I would still keep that into consideration. I wouldn't really use... The next naked level is going to be at 29740. I don't think we'll go down there, but I'll just mark it out anyway. And yeah, those are the current levels we have. Wait till market open, see what it gives us. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll do my best to explain. Alright, 1 minute until New York bell. Hello Ayush, hello. What's the difference between extended trading hours and regular trading hours? Extended is just, it takes into account, right, from the market open, from the daily market open to the daily market closure, right? Whereas regular trading hours, it only looks at the New York session. So from 9:30 a.m. New York time to 4 p.m. New York time. The main difference is going to be volume, right? Like the levels you get before pre-session, before 9:30, are most of the time going to have less volume unless there's a large fundamental catalyst. So those levels might not hold as well as regular trading hours, and that's just something you have to test. Now I used to use extended trading hours. Okay, just opened. Where do we open? Right here. I mean, yeah, I used to use extended trading hours, but starting to shift over to regular trading hours now. It just clears up a lot of levels as well. Like, if you look at where we closed yesterday at 4 p.m. and then where we opened, there's basically like a 48.91, like around a 40-50 point gap where you just have a lot of price action that clutters within that gap. Right, if I clone this and then show you guys extended trading hours as well, right? You can see that there's just a whole lot more price action that clutters up that single price range. Right, so more levels you have to account for. But let's see what we get here. Yeah, it's still the 80 range. Still the 80 range. So the 80 range, each candle, right, from the low to the high, or the high to the low, it doesn't close until it moves around 20 points. It just removes the time aspect of it for me when I'm trading order flow. So you can see, like, coming into volume point of control, I'm not really looking for anything. Volume point of control is a single level where the most volume was facilitated. So you're going to get two-sided consolidation here. It's not really the best. Let me reload this real quick. Also, the reason why I have, if you don't know already, the reason why I have time frames on the second chart is because extra charts, the range chart is kind of broken. It's kind of buggy with the big trades. So my left chart is 30 seconds, the right chart is 80 range. Still playing within yesterday's value area. Right, it's not going to be as low. It's not going to be as high probability. See what we get. Let's see what we get. The main thing is, right, the main thing with trading, when you have these type of conditions, the best thing you could do is stay on your hands, right? Can't really do much in these type of conditions, especially when the higher time frame, you're just consolidating within our overall range. Not much you can do at all, right? Like, this is what the high time frame looks like. Value area consistently overlapping, paired up with the fact that we're pretty much in peak summer now. August, volatility is going to die down. Still stuck between this range, right? We haven't left this range yet. So still pretty much on a high time frame, on a macro perspective, two-sided price action. All right, it's starting to break above value area high now. However, if you do get a break and retest here, the distance to your the next level of resistance isn't that far away, so there's a bit low probability. But let's see how the market sets up for us. Large aggressive buyers, they are getting rewarded at the moment. Let me just remove this view map. I'll make it a bit clearer to see. Right, you see our sellers are stepping in now, but they don't get rewarded, right? After we are currently breaking above the range high. If you was aggressive, you could look to go enter here, but I would personally wait for a break and retest. Not too interested in taking immediate expansions, especially as it is at the range high. This is a significant level. Still only 6 minutes after New York Bell. Would wait until around 10-15 minutes before I execute. This can just like blow off, doesn't really matter. What an M12 is like. Extremely bullish on the M12 at the moment. Alright, this is currently what we have. So, if the candle closes like this, shorts are going to be very, very low probability. Buyers are in clear control here. You have large negative delta, which represents aggressive sellers taking control. They overwhelmed any aggressive buyers at these levels, but they didn't get rewarded with lower price action. Right, so that means these guys got absorbed, buying initiation steps in, and they pretty much dominated most of these levels. So clear buying initiation there. Let's see. I mean, like I said, right? This would have been a valid entry. Valid setup, break. You had a break. Aggressive sellers tried to step in, but they don't get rewarded. However, in these market conditions, I'd rather just wait for a break and retest. Don't want to be too quick on pulling the trigger. OBM low. Right, could use that one or probably this one. Right. Because I was within our New York session. Let's see if we could start to get a top in. If we get a top in, right, and it's a confirmed resistance level, then could wait for a break, another retest, continue higher. Don't really have any internal levels at the moment, apart from this one over here. That was where we had the selling absorption, which also aligns with our range high. Like I always say, nothing is random. There's a reason why we had the selling absorption here. Right? There's a clear reason why. There's a reason, and there's also a reason why this is a key level. Right? It's at the range high. I think buyers are very strong here. Buyers are very strong. See how cumulative volume delta looks. Right, CVD also increasing. No signs of stoppage there. Wouldn't want to be a seller in these markets until we've broken down a significant level. Till then, longs just looks extremely high probability. Starting to come into a level of resistance here. Right, rounded number 3050. the CVD is starting to go lower, right? Which means within this overall candle, aggressive sellers are starting to take back control on the aggression side. It depends. It really depends on whether I ride a trend or not. Like if we are in an imbalanced state of delivery. So for example, if we have like a balanced range over here, where you have a range high, oops. We have a range high, range low. Let me try to do this as best as I can. Range low, and we break above, right, into an imbalanced state of delivery. Then yes, you could look to ride the trend, and I look to ride the trend as well. I only wait for pullback once we've broken past a initial resistance level or support. So let's say you break above here, right? I would wait for a retest there. I wouldn't ride the trend here, depending on the market condition. And let's say you get some other like level form, right, in the form of resistance level where you clearly had a retest and the market still succeeds in protecting it. Then I would wait for a break retest and then continue higher, rather than waiting for that, rather than trying to catch the trend like that. But yeah, I'll ride the trend a lot, especially if you get absorption and stuff. Like for example here, you had selling absorption. The reason why I didn't enter is because one, right, I like to enter 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes after New York bell, and two, we started to come into an area of resistance, right? Because these aggressive buyers, they're not necessarily getting rewarded. So this is a potential to become a high, to become a top. And this is the range we're currently playing in. Let's see what we have with. So we're nearly breaking out of the range. Large low volume nodes that we can potentially fill in. However, it doesn't always have to be filled in immediately. Right. A lot of times these also act as confluences. If you get large low volume nodes, that could just be a strong bullish confluence for higher price action, because the market had very little interest at lower levels. So they desperately try to come up higher, and especially once you start to build value higher. Yeah, M12 closed pretty bullish. Alright, if you look at how M12 closed, very bullish. Starting to see some aggressive sellers stepping at the highs, but overall, it's still bullish. I'll still be favoring longs at the moment. VWAP might be a bit broken. Okay, there we go. Range high, range low. Anything in between, low probability. What composite profile am I using on the right side of the chart? This is just the volume profile. The right one is a composite profile for volume. Left one is composite profile for delta. Right, and that's just 30. The delta profile is just 30 minutes. Composite profile on the right is the whole session. Okay, so now the question becomes, as we are retesting this level, whether aggressive buys get absorbed again, and you're looking for buying absorption to go lower, or you could look to catch the break and retest. In terms of M12, I would be favoring a break and retest. Just need to see that selling absorption. See, I'm not looking to chase price, right? Like, you see this large expansion and you think you should be in the entire move. But if you have no setup, which for me is the absorption, then I'm just going to be sitting on my hands. Right, you want to keep your trading plan as consistent as possible. Your trading edge as consistent as possible. Good. This is an example of where I would ride the trend. Right. If you have selling absorption within this candle, then I would ride a trend. But in the meantime, there's nothing. CVD has now created a higher high, price action higher high. So buys are still in control. But there's no entry for me at the moment. Very large expansion though, jeez. Yeah, don't want to short this. Even if it looks like it's retracing, you don't want to take this. I struggle with only using previous session levels like value or high, value or low view up. Do you use them as levels or just current session value or high? I use previous sessions. I don't tend to use like... The only dynamic profiles I use is the dynamic volume profile. But even then, I don't really look at it from a value area standpoint. I just focus mainly on the low volume nodes. And the reason for that is because the value area high and the value area low, when you're like looking at the current sessions one, it could always shift and it could always change. So it's not something I would particularly be interested in. Yeah, large expansion. Yeah, for me personally, if there's no absorption, there's no trade. Especially when you're playing within... Well, we were playing within that. But especially when the current market conditions looks like this. Or the previous market condition looks like this. It looks like we're starting to break above. There are times where I enter off of the initiation. So let's say you have, right, like exactly what you get here, right? You get this large break. Buying initiation, stepping in, clear control buys. There is a lot of time where I could enter off of there, but the market would have to be in a state of expansion. Now, of course, right now we started to break above, but you can't really predict that. You can only react. Like these are the type of conditions where I would look for initiation, and I'll be lenient on my absorption. I wouldn't necessarily look for, you know, all of those high probability variants to set up. This one as well. Could look for an entry here. See how this candle closes. If this candle closes bullish, I'll attempt a long here. Around 30k. This one. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I just missed that. Yeah, I just missed that, to be honest. But it is valid. I only realized later on, as we started to break above over here, that I missed this one, so I wasn't going to chase price. I would have had to wait for another setup. Right, starting to get a battle of order here. Let's see who wins. And you could attempt to ride this move. It's pretty far up in the leg though, but it doesn't look like... As long as buyers are still able to hold control, then it would still be valid. Still waiting on how this candle closes. Right, there you go. So now you have a battle order. Question becomes, who wins this battle? See if we can break above. If we break above, then you can look to go long. Stops somewhere below here. Just to ride a move. But we have had a pretty large expansion. So there is a good chance we start to consolidate now. Yeah, let's see what we get. I wouldn't be interested in shorts. Like, even if we break below this low, and you get absorption here, I wouldn't be interested in shorts. Only because of the context. The context is we've broken above all of these levels. Broken out of the range, large imbalanced states of delivery, CVD is increasing, and value is starting to build at higher levels. Don't forget, we do have large buying absorption above here. But you see how anytime we come back into these passive protection levels, price is reacting away from it. Previously, it was protected from passive participants, so it will stay protected until otherwise, until demand overwhelms it. But it's at these levels where there's significantly more passive supply in comparison to other levels. Just want to see us break above here. And then you can look to enter off of this battle order. You don't really need to wait for confirmation. Stop loss below here, then targets at the highs. See if we break above yet or not. Getting consolidated price action here. The market always moves like this. Anytime you have a large expansion, is never going to continue expanding. It has to find acceptance. And that comes in the form of consolidation. Right? You get your battle of orders. Question becomes whether sellers become more aggressive or buyers become more aggressive. Right? But if we continue to consolidate around here and build value, then there's a good chance that we expand to the upside again. As long as value area keeps shifting higher, then you're going to continue higher. Basic auction market theory. Again, you have another aggressive selling bubble and they don't get rewarded. So sellers are still getting absorbed here, buyers are still getting absorbed here. See if we can start to break above. And then you can look to potentially go long here. Alright, no rush. Still only 30 minutes up into New York Bell. The New York session. Getting aggressive buying and aggressive selling in the same candle. So let's see if this candle closes bullish. Then you can potentially look for an entry. Right, it's not going to be as high probability as the others, but you can still attempt it. Still pretty valid. I want to see a full breakout. Queen to enter here. Entering into two positions, one on prop firms and one on personal. See, let's see. 200, 3200 is going to be a level of protection. But if we could break above that, then there's a good chance we go to 3250. Is there any mechanical way to understanding that price has been accepted? 1 second. Would start to shave my stops to this low. So pretty much taking nearly half risk off the table. Okay, so is there a mechanical way to understand that price has been accepted? Yeah, by volume. Either by volume or you're just looking at the big trades. So let's say price comes up higher and then you start to get that consolidation. You could identify that the market is accepting this level from big trades, and how that would look is that the range highs, aggressive buyers are getting absorbed, and the range lows, aggressive sellers are getting absorbed. So that means you have a passive protection level at the high, passive protection level at the low, and that becomes a protected consolidation range, right? That becomes a balanced range. Or the second easiest way is going to be drawing out your dynamic volume profile, right? So probably from this low to maybe where the price is currently. And then on the volume profile, it will just have a volume spike. Right. That is the most mechanical way you could view it. If there's more volume, if there's a lot of volume, then the market has found acceptance there. It breaks the upside, you wait for retest. Not necessarily for this example, because it's not really a range yet. We haven't created a range. This is still a continuation play. Like, you're still riding the trend here, in my opinion. We haven't consolidated here for long enough. It would be like, where I would wait for a retest is if the range is large and it's significant. For example, if it's at the value area, right? Value area high, value area low. Or, like I said, the range is larger than what we had here. This was just a miniature battle of orders. So depending on who breaks above or below, then it's a good chance that those participants have taken control because of how little this battle of orders has happened. Getting absorption there. You can look to go break even here. Right. Or at least try your stops to this low. Because ideally, these aggressive sellers should be holding price. The absorption of these aggressive sellers, if you look at my left chart, they should be holding price for higher price action. If we break below, then there's a good chance we might not be ready to break above yet. And you could be in line for a much larger consolidation. See how this plays out. I wouldn't want to see us retest this level this high so many times. Once we break above this level, there's a good chance we go to 30200. And then depending on how we play around there, you know, 30250. Right, just, you see how we're just consolidating around here? Aggressive buyers getting absorbed, aggressive sellers getting absorbed. You don't really want to be part of this if you're not in it already. That's why I'm being really aggressive with my trail. Because it could go both ways. It generally could go both ways. Chances of us going higher is a bit more higher probability, right? But it could still go both ways. Stops are trailed, by the way, to this low already. So we're pretty much nearly risk-free. Well, basically risk-free. Probably lose like 0.1 R off of that. Wait, the trade is more clear. Alright, 2 positions I'm in. See if we can get that push. CVD is pretty flat at the moment. See if we can get that push. Push price, push. Pretty much just teasing my take profit props by a couple points. We do have more buyers than sellers at the moment. You're looking at, even though CVD is flat, you look at M12 over here, right? Aggressive buyers are in control for the majority of these levels. Literally just tease my take profit by 1 point. Not even 1 point. Way less than that. Like 2 ticks. It would suck if we got taken out here, but it is what it is. It's to be expected after such a large expansion. Right, but you can see why I moved my stops to this low, rather than just going break even straight away, because there's still a good chance that, right, these are levels of protection. These are levels of protection. So you always want to move it to the candle that had that absorption. How much discount on your Tradify code, or is it free? If you use my Tradify code, I believe it's 40% off currently. But I do plan to run account giveaways in the future. So that's always something to look out for. I think we're gonna get taken out here for basically break even. Let's see. Unless buyers could step back in. Whoa, this H1 is broken. See what M12 is saying. Yeah, new M12 candle opened. Large negative delta at this level. If they don't get rewarded and aggressive buyers are able to take back control, we're breaking above this high. Once we break above this high, TP hit on prop firms, and then personal, I would just trail. But yeah, like I said, if you're not in this move already, this isn't a move you want to be in. Right, I'm basically break even on this move, so whatever happens, happens. There's no clear direction here. Like, if anyone tells you that they know where price is going next after this bullshit, they're lying to you. Completely lying to you. Let's see if these aggressive sellers get rewarded or not. And then there's a good chance we might go to the highs. Problem is, for the majority of these candles, has just been negative delta. So the presence of aggressive sellers are still there. We just need aggressive buyers to step more in. See if we can get that. Alright, taken out for TP on prop firms. W's in chat. Still in this, basically break even on my personal. Aiming for 4.5R at 30250. Let's see if we can get that. Don't really have a place to trail yet. I still want to be pretty lenient on my break even. Hello, hello. Do I reference the gamma exposure? I did. I tried to have it. I tried to use it and test it out, but tested it for like 2 months and I realized it just added more complications to my edge. I like to keep my edge simple, right? I don't like to overcomplicate it. I pretty much barely use any indicators. And with the GEX levels, they aligned with my range levels anyway. Range levels and... going to move stops to this low. So we at least secure 0.5 R. Yeah, but as I was saying, like, the gamma exposure levels didn't really make much difference to my trading. Market yesterday and today seems choppy. They love the fair value. Yeah, they do. They do. But I mean, we've had that break higher. It's just a shame that, you know, I missed this setup and there wasn't much here. Nothing here in my plan. Stops are trailed to that low. What is GX? GX is just gamma exposure, right? Options, option dealers, options hedging. Did you take trades? Yeah, I did. Right, these are the only trades I've taken so far. So this one, realized 1R on prop firms plus 1R, and then this one I'm still in it on my personal. Floating about 2.5 at the moment, aiming for 30250. Trailed to this high, to this low. So, you know, in terms of where this stop loss is, because with my personal, I tend to be more aggressive with my stops in comparison to my prop firm accounts, right? And that's because on my personal, I have the whole balance to really mess with, and I don't have to aim for such a high win rate, right? My risk of ruin is going to be much lower on personal, so I can be more aggressive with the stops. So in terms of where my stops is currently, I've already secured basically 1R. Right? If we break above this level, where aggressive buyers are currently getting absorbed, and it's also pretty much overlapping with 30200, then there's a good chance we're going to continue higher, and then I would trail to potentially this low over here, or, you know, even this one. But let's see what price does for now. Hey everyone, watch names. Watching this, want to tell, to be honest, this month I look to mentorship the village. I feel worth trusting AVM. Thanks to you a lot. I really appreciate that, Ayush. I mean, yeah, guys, like, Ayush is a good student. Like, he watches all of my streams, he watches all of my teachings. I record the content, always asking me questions. Really good. He said he's going to be the Indian Hugh. But yeah, like in the mentorship, you get access to me one-on-one, lifetime support. So if that's anything you guys are interested in, right, the description is there. But yeah, I do appreciate this kind words, Ayush. And let's get you consistently profitable. Let's get you consistently profitable. Alright, gain that rejection away. Stops are still at like a safe level. But let's see. Like, a good logical target for 2R would be 30200s. But because of how much we're expanding right now, I think there's a good chance we go to 30250. I trade aggressively on personalized. What is the mini contract? Just curious. 1 to 3 on average. But it really depends, because my stops isn't going to always be the same. Like sometimes it's 20 points, sometimes 30 points, sometimes it's 40 points. You just have to account for the fixed dollar risk amount, right? If I'm trading, you know, if my stop is larger, I'm obviously going to use a smaller mini contract size. So it's not one mini fits all, or one contract size fits all. You have to always look at it from a dynamic stop loss standpoint. Right, it always depends on how much your stop is and your fixed dollar risk amount. Keep those two consistent. Never just enter with the same contracts all the time. It will never work. You can't measure it. Unless your stop loss is always the same. Is ICT not as good as OBM? I don't know. OBM is something I created. So obviously I would have confidence in it, but to be honest with you, like the real answer, everything works. All strategies work. 27 hour. Hi, I'm eating my lunch. Yeah, that smells like promotion. I'm gonna have to make you mod. How do I make you mod? How do I make mods in the server? Community. Participants, moderation activity. Okay, hold on. We are getting that. Let's see what we get here. Not looking good with these aggressive binds getting absorbed. That's fine. Yeah, but as I was saying, right, all strategies work. You just have to stick with one. The reason why I created OBM is because I had no issue taking wins, right? I would go on large winning streaks for days, for weeks. But one losing day would mess me up a lot. Or even like one session could mess me up a lot. Because I didn't know how to identify low probability conditions, right? I didn't have a clear guideline for when to stay out of the market and when to react in the markets. And that's why I created the OBM ranges. It gives you a clear framework for high probability versus low probability conditions. Let me figure out how to make this guy mod. Community moderation is user management. Manage moderators. Manage. I trusted users to review. How the hell do I make him mod? Oh, paste a list of channel IDs. Let me go to channel. I believe this is it. Add. There we go. 27 hour is now mod. Now let's see how this candle closes. Once we break above, I'm trailing to this low. Simple as that. Simple. But right now I'm still giving it room to breathe. Alright, gonna trail it now. Secured a lot now. Let's see if we can get that pump higher. We gotta pump it up. We gotta pump it up. Gotta pump it up. If this candle closes bullish, this is where you could also look for a second re-entry. Right. If you're not in this trade, because you're just riding the move. We've broken above. Like, if this candle closes bullish, that means we've pretty much successfully cleared 30200 level. And the next target would be 30250, 300. So you can look to continue higher from there. But since I'm in this already, not looking for a re-entry. Okay, nice. Yes. What is moderation activity? No idea what it is, but I just turned it on. Good chance we get taken out here, but that's fine. Pretty much secured basically 2R. 1.75, 1.8. I have to check on my executions for the exact one. Right, taken out here. This is what it is, right? Plus 2R rounded, plus 1R. 3R in total. W on props and W on personal. Now, this, get rid of this. And then I'm looking for this. Right. W's in chat. You also have this level to look out for as well. I mean, I guess you could use this as an internal. Right, but this is the range. Much have low, high, internal. Wouldn't worry about this on them anymore. The only like what I could have done better, right, is keep my stop at this level, because we didn't really break above this high yet. I said I would move my stop to this low once we're breaking above this high, but I guess I was just too aggressive with it. Haven't fully broken above yet, so stops should have still been below this level, but isn't too focused on looking at this. Now you have clear levels, and that's the beauty with the OBM. Break above, retest, potential long, come up, or will not come up yet, but like if you get a large rejection lower from where we're at currently, and then we get a retest, it's potential to go short, mechanically speaking. Alright, if you break below here, retest could go short to this low, or break, retest, continue to this low. Once we come to this low, look to go long. Right, those are all mechanically speaking. It all depends on how price is doing at the moment, and you know, market intuition also comes into play, because when you're looking at the M12, still heavily bullish. CVD is still increasing. Right, within these specific M12 candles, you're still if you look at the footprint bar statistics, right, which is the bottom one over here, see that, but positive delta is still there. So within each of these candles, aggressive buyers are still in control. However, after these two large expansion candles, we are starting to fade out. We are starting to fade out there. Got to pump it up and pump it up. You got to pump it up. I think the market is going to just continue pumping higher. Let's see. Remember, we're not predicting, we are only reacting. That's the main thing, guys. Main thing. Still just consolidating around here. External OBM low would be this one. Right, the reason being is because even though you're looking at, like, if you ignore all of these levels, this would be the external OBM low if you was to ignore all of those levels. But because you have these levels, you have this large range. Like the yellow line is my most significant level, because that was the value area high, Right, going back to this. Let me reload this. Volume profile is a bit messed up. That was the Tuesday's value error high. Well, not Tuesday's value error high, but this one right here. This level. The range high of the balance range, overall balance range that we're currently playing in. So that is why I'm using that as the OBM low, because that is going to be a significant level. Right? The reason why this level is significant is because if it has been able to protect the price within this range for like over a week, you could expect large liquidity there, large volume there. So that is the one I'm currently using. Here, I wouldn't be so interested in price anymore, to be honest with you guys. Currently anyway. Right, like when you're getting these type of price action, it's a bit difficult to read. It's no clear one-sided. Like this, these are the type of price action you want, right? It's a shame we didn't get any setup here. But these are the type of price actions you want, where you break above and you instantly expand. You'll see what we get. Yeah, I mean, if you look at 1 minute, let me show you guys what a 1 minute currently looks like. It looks really trash. It looks super trash. Change this to 1 minute. Remove all the big trades. Okay, I say that we start to expand higher. Yeah, like this is what the 1 minute looks like. Really trash. We are starting to get this expansion higher though. Aggressive buyers are stepping in, so let's see what that gives us. Probably would have hit our original TP. Right. But that's where I went wrong, guys. Like I just trailed it too aggressively. Even though I said I wasn't going to trail until we break above this high. To this low. I just done it too aggressively. So that was an error on me, but it is what it is. You note, you journal, and you move on. Singing works. Yeah, I mean, if trading doesn't work, I'll just become a full-time singer. Yeah, like this isn't a market you want to short. Large aggressive buys. If I was still in this trade, right, then this is where I would trail, like from the lows to the lows to the lows. Especially as you start to approach your key level. Let's see what we have. Yeah, the single candle absorption setup like cooking. I mean, it's like what I talked to you about, right? When you're in an imbalanced state of delivery, that's where it's going to work out the best. When you're just consolidating, okay, let me try to fix this. Like obviously here we had this large expansion, but you can't really predict that. But once you are in an imbalanced state of delivery on the higher time frame, they're going to work the best. Right, when you're in like these type of conditions, break and retest will always be higher probability. You know, it's just additional proof to you. Right, that the condition you're currently playing in matters the most. And there's only two conditions, guys. There's only balance and imbalance. If you're in an imbalanced state of delivery, you could be a lot more aggressive with it. A heck of a lot more. See what we get. Alright, going to attempt a long here. On reduced risk. Because I'm already up a lot for the day. But let's enter in this one. And then target 20300s. And let's see how it plays out. The reason why I enter here, selling absorption. Right. My axis is not lining up. But we basically, like, if you look here, we had a selling absorption here, selling absorption here. 84, 50, 30 within this candle. Secondary candle, initiation. So this is where you would enter. Just to ride that move higher after we've broken above this level of resistance. Obviously, there's still, 30250 that we have to mess with. But CVD is increasingly bullish. And yeah. However, this is a reduced risk position, right? This isn't on my normal risk. The reason being is because I'm already green for the day. And this is just pretty much risking some of the profits. We are pretty extended already. So let's see if we could continue that extension. Like, the market has barely spent any time here, by the way. If you're looking at the volume as well, volume and TPO, the market has barely spent any time here. So there's a good chance we retrace back into these levels in the future. Whether it happens today, tomorrow, or next week. All I know is that this entire move up isn't the most efficient. We've barely found any acceptance either. We've barely consolidated. A healthy uptrend would be something like this. Right? Where every time you expand, you consistently get levels of acceptance. That is going to be a healthy trend. This one right here, we didn't really get it. It's pretty much just one large expansion in my opinion. Right? So we're bound to retrace sooner or later. That's why, also another reason why this is on reduced risk. So in terms of like dollar risk to reward, even if I lose this, barely leaves a dent. That's where dynamic risk management comes into play. Now you see, like, when you have this as your range low, and this is your external range high, if the range isn't massive, you could just split up into two. So this becomes the middle point. This becomes an external range low now. Properties of an external range low. Properties of an external range high. Internal. And then once you break below here, it changes into an external range high. That's how I like to view the markets. So aiming for 30300s or 30297. Now I don't really like to go for the literal amount. I always like to do a couple points lower or a couple points higher. Only because from my experience with heat maps, it's not always exact where you have large passive selling. A lot of times you have it a couple points lower as well. So that's where you're going to get the most resistance. See if we can break above this level though. Once this candle closes bullish, you can start to look to trail to this low. Right over here. And that takes off, quarter risk. Yeah, stops there. Is the music too loud, by the way? Let me know, guys. Let me know if you could still hear me or not. I could always turn the music louder or quieter. And how is the music? It took me forever to try and find like these type of music. Holy shit, you have no idea how long it took me. It has to be trying to find royalty-free, non-attribution. So I don't get my ass fucked in the future with this. But yeah, it took me so long to find it. This live, can I replay? Yeah. So after this live is finished, it should be uploaded onto YouTube. Music is great. All right, amazing. Pleasure to hear. I mean, not pleasure to hear. What's the right word for it? Amazing to hear. Lovely to hear. Look at my goat cleaning up. Everyone's eating today. Everyone's eating today. Cal Crypto. Let me make this guy mod as well. Find his channel ID. Go to channel. User management. Manage. Add. Done. Mod. Discord mod. He's a pro Discord mod. Sits on his arse all day. Moderating the chat. Eating chips. First stream and we're doing great. You know, love these markets. Imagine we had this all the time. Right? But you don't with Trump. You either get really large moves that are just crazy, or we just consolidate for decades. With the Biden markets, oh my god, it was so simple to trade. Pretty much for like most of the year, all you had to do was just press the buy button. You didn't have to analyze anything. And the markets wouldn't even like, it wouldn't be so extreme. It wasn't extreme on either side of the end. Right? It wasn't extremely imbalanced. It wasn't extremely balanced either, which is great. Trump on the other hand, like I said, balanced market, internal. I mean, not internal, happens eternally. Forever. And the imbalanced states, the expansions, happens all in one day. Large expansion, all in one day. I mean, to be fair, this was alright though. Just started to chop after June. Going to try my stops to here. Right. Take a bit off the table. Only because I worry for this one. This is the big worry here. Like I said, right? Around 30 to 50, you're going to get a reaction. You're going to get a battle orders. Nothing is random. Nothing is ever random. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you like it. Would appreciate it. Come on, push. Push. Yeah, like passive buyers are. See, it seems like they're protecting this level. Keeping my stops where it is. Usually aggressive sellers getting absorbed are able to hold up. If not, then it'll be a minor loss. Getting a battle orders here. Right, if this if we fail here, there's a good chance, very good chance, we're just going to play within this range for the rest of the session. Right, and it's just a simple B model. P, where you have large expansion, and then the market starts to just consolidate, right? And that is a good sign for bullish price action. But when you're in this, this P shape, when you're within this consolidation, you're better off just donating your money to me. Right? Because you're going to blow yourself up. Whoa, where did my stream go? Hold on. Just lost my stream. Alright, I'm back. Okay, can finally see chat again. Let's see. Tease my stops by a couple ticks, but I think it's going to get taken out. Alright, we're out. Alright, small loss. Reduce risk on this one. This is where it is. On to the next. Now, clear conditions here. Because of how many orders we've had here, how many big orders we've had here, there isn't really any key levels, any good levels I want to entertain here. So I would rather just play the low of this, this miniature leg up. Looks like cluster. Let me just remove this. Right, clear charts, clear mind. My ideas right now, guys. My ideas right now. Come up. Absorption. Short. Or break above, retest, and continue higher. Yeah. Like these levels, I'm not interested until we actually come into there. But that is what I am currently doing for this session. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have taken any trades. How are we doing so far? Midway into the session. I think we do start to continue lower and start to fill in these low volume nodes over here. Well, if you draw the dynamic profile from the session, right, you have fat low volume nodes. Fat low volume nodes lower. Good chance we come in and fill those in, essentially. Wouldn't want to short here because it's not really off of a key level and you're inside of the balance range. Would much rather we retest this level and then short. This is an imbalance play, but you don't take an imbalance play when you're inside of a range. You only take it when you're outside. No levels of interest here. Good chance we just start to consolidate and find balance. Gonna give it a couple more minutes, see if anything sets up or not. If not, then I'll start wrapping up the stream. Just a reminder, guys, I do plan to stream every Tuesday and Thursday. But, you know, I'm pretty impulsive. I could just stream tomorrow randomly. But for now, fixed schedule, like definite streams would be Tuesday and Thursdays until otherwise. Right. Could do weekend streams as well. Just let me know if you guys would like that. And yeah, see what we get. 8 more minutes until 11 AM New York time. Break and retest. You mean this one? Are you talking about this break and retest? We break this level and retest it? Mini range height 30218. Right, yeah, so around here. Yeah, it would be. It's a valid break and retest, but it's not going to be the highest probability because you have this. Right, you have this paired up with the fact that we've had this large expansion higher. Sooner or later, like even the trade that I took just now, well not just now, but like an hour ago, even this wasn't the highest probability trade. Right, because we had the fat expansion higher. You're always anticipating after an expansion for some form of a consolidation or a deep retracement. Obviously, because I still took this, that means, well not because I still took this, but I still took this because you're anticipating, you're not predicting. There's a difference between anticipating and predicting. If the market still shows you that it still wants to continue higher, then you're still looking to entertain those trades, right? But in the back of your mind, you're going to be anticipating for potentially we are going to come into some form of a consolidation, right? And it's the same thing here. Like even though that's why the break and retest is still valid here, but when you're looking at everything else, when you're looking at the narrative, when you're looking at the market intuition, market discretion, we have this big trade over here, which means this is a level of, and it's not just like any big trade, right? It's not like 30 contracts. This was 151 buying contracts that failed here. In fact, there was even more, right? 107, 131, 75, right? These large buying contracts are all trapped at this current level. So when the market continues lower and it starts taking out the stop losses of these large aggressive buying contracts that are now trapped, that's going to, one, accelerate the move lower, and two, this becomes a passive protection level for any aggressive buyers. So when you come back into it, there's a good chance passive sellers are going to absorb this level again, since previously it absorbed a large, significant number of aggressive buying, right? Like you need serious selling supply here to absorb these 151 buying contracts and 107 buying contracts. That's why I wouldn't look for a break and retest there, but it is valid, mechanically speaking. It's just this is really off-putting. Right, and I think that's the best way to trade. You obviously have a lot of mechanical aspects, but most of it will be discretionary. And then not only would that help you adapt more with the markets, but you'll be able to view the market in a much more personalized way. You'll get better at viewing the market, in my opinion. Yeah, like I said, this is valid for break and retest. Just for all those reasons mentioned, I wouldn't take it personally. Cool. Alright guys, it looks like we're just gonna play within this range. So I don't want to bore you guys. Gonna just wrap up the stream here. And see you guys next Tuesday. Unless I decide to stream tomorrow. but we'll have to see. We will have to see. Let's see. Yeah, nothing else. Alright, so gonna wrap up the stream. Hopefully you guys found this first stream insightful. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a message on Discord. And yeah, I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, same time. Every Tuesday and every Thursday now I will be streaming at the same time. New York AM session. Trading NQ futures.